Come on. Come on.
Put your emojis together for Auntie Miracle B.
All right, we are here to watch this clown live. We're watching the sentencing live. So right now he's just sitting shuffling papers, reading his Bible. We finna get this party started. So whenever he starts talking, we'll be able to see it live and in color. Live and in color. Yes, I'm live. I wanted y'all to get this information. So we'll see. I don't know when he's reading. He needs to be. I don't know, but I'm glad that animal's cuffed up. I'm glad he cuffed. Looking stupid. Dirty ass nails, dusty, crusty, dusty, and dumb. So, yeah, I'm gonna just go on mute.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. I will wait until 8:30 to call the case, so we have about a minute and 15 seconds.
If he got 9 people on his list, that is 9 too much. No, the proceeding hasn't started yet. They just he just sitting there.
The court will call
Oh,
State of
here we go.
Wisconsin versus Darrell E. Brooks, case number 21 CF 1848. May I have the appearances, please.
Judge Sue Upper, Leslie Basie, and Zach Wichow appearing for the state.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Appearance, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Darrell Brooks Jr. I'm here for this matter by special appearance. It is not my intention to bring any controversy to you, Your Honor, or your court today.
What?
I'm wondering how I may settle this matter. Um, is there anyone here in the court that can give me a rendering of the account,
What?
please? If it
Mr. Brooks,
pleases
your
Your Honor.
appearance is noted. The court will not be responding to that last question. We are here today to start the sentencing hearing in this case. This, of course, following your conviction on all counts, following the jury trial that concluded in late October. I will acknowledge, sir, there are a number of documents you filed today. One is a motion for stay pending appeal. There are 2 ICFs that came in as well, both addressed to me. One related to court costs and fees, requesting a copy of the record at the court's expense.
He doing his sovereign citizen crap.
And then the other one also requesting a certified copy of the record, written and recorded, statement that you're waiving all fees and court costs, and that you would be appearing by special appearance. The court's not going to take these up initially, sir. In order for a court to consider a motion for stay pending appeal, the matter must be finally adjudicated, including the signing of a judgment of conviction. Once that is done, I will schedule the motion for stay pending appeal accordingly. That way the state can also have proper notice of that and be prepared to address that with the court. In terms of your request to waive costs and fees, I will interpret your written ICFs as a request that at sentencing I waive costs associated with these convictions to the extent that is allowable under the law. As far as the record is concerned, this court is not the custodian. As far as anything in the written record or the file, the clerk of court is the custodian. As far as the official transcripts of the proceedings, those will need to be prepared, and there are costs associated with that, and there is a form that you or a lawyer acting on your behalf would need to file in order for this court to consider that. So I'll take all of that under advisement, but will not be addressing that specifically other than what I have just noted. The other thing I want to preliminarily before I hear from individuals who are here to make statements is the letter that I sent to the parties yesterday. It does address one topic that I wanted to address at the beginning of the hearing today, and that is your request for individuals to speak at sentencing did not contain a request that they appear by Zoom. And I wanted to clarify that with you, sir. If you were requesting that they appear by Zoom and make their statements if they're not present in the courtroom on your behalf when the appropriate time comes.
Yes, I apologize for that, Your Honor. I didn't know that it some type of step that I was supposed to include in that to make sure that they would appear by Zoom. I'm a little confused, so I apologize for that.
Sir, I don't know where any of these individuals live, whether they are local and can make it here or not. And I anticipated that either of the parties, if there was a request for someone to appear by Zoom, that would be specifically made so that I could then take the appropriate steps. There is time. My intention would be that when the state has rested their portion of the sentencing hearing, all of their speakers have spoken and they have given their sentencing argument, that I would, depending on where it's at, probably take a break, start up the Zoom at that point, allow the individuals who wish to make a statement on your behalf to do so one at a time. But otherwise, I wasn't going to keep the Zoom up because the proceedings are being live streamed. Is that acceptable to you, sir?
In part, so I'm still a little confused on how would I get the Zoom link to those who wish to speak on my behalf?
My understanding is your mom has contacted the clerk of court's office. I haven't addressed that in any way, but I would then give my staff permission to reach out to her. I believe she has left her phone number, and we could do that and provide that Zoom information to her. And I presume she would be able to get it to the individuals on your list. It's very important, though, that only those individuals appear on the Zoom. That's the only people I will approve, unless they're, of course. And then the other parameters are that that individuals who are on the Zoom for that portion of the sentencing hearing keep their microphones off, their cameras off until they are making a statement, and they have to be identified with obviously the name that was provided by you, and only those individuals. What I don't want to see is, one person and then 10 people behind them. That's not what I approved. So Do you understand that, sir?
I have a quick question about that. Like
All right.
one of the people that wish to speak on my behalf would be the mother of my youngest daughter, and I'm not sure when exactly she'll be speaking, and it's a chance that she would actually have my daughter with her. With
Oh,
that,
How old is your daughter?
she's 8.
As long as the child remains quiet and doesn't interrupt, I will allow that one exception.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I will instruct Madam Clerk to let
that's the
Darrell
dog.
Clerk know that the Zoom information can be released to your mom. There's a meeting ID and passcode, and that can be provided to the other individuals on the list. And I anticipate that that won't be until sometime this afternoon that we get to that portion of the sentencing hearing.
So if they have,
Oh God, come on.
because I know my grandmother would like to speak, and she's very elderly. So if she has any trouble like accessing it, will someone probably on my behalf be able to walk her through that? Or
Well, I assume she might need help with that, or someone
yeah,
will be
she's
available.
80, so I don't think she's. Well, I know that she's not the most.
I trust they will have
savvy.
that all figured out, sir. So, all right. All right, then. Is there anything else the parties wish me to address preliminarily before I turn to the state?
Yes,
From
Your
this-
Honor, I do have a few preliminary matters, please. The filings that you just referenced from Mr. Brooks, I did not see those in the electronic queue this morning. Would it be possible for the state to get copies, please?
Yes, they believe were hand delivered. Or Zach may be, Mother Clerk Zach may be doing that right now. We'll make sure, but Teresa can make copies for you as well.
Okay. I also wanted to ask a couple of housekeeping matters, Your Honor, as far as timing and scheduling. If we complete the hearing today, then I assume that eliminates the need for the hearing tomorrow. Is that correct? Or do you see a version where we come back tomorrow no matter what?
I do see a version where we come back tomorrow, no matter what. I want to be able to digest the statements from everyone and process them accordingly. There's going to be quite a few for both sides, and I think it's appropriate that I take the overnight to do that and come back tomorrow to render the sentence.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. The other question is we have the easel back in the courtroom. Some people did want to display some foam boards. If it meets the court's approval, we'll leave it at this location and then just pass up the exhibits and Detective Regland can display. That's okay with the court?
Well, it's certainly like Mr. Brooks to be able to see them as well. Mr. Brooks, are you able to see the easel from where you are? Otherwise, I could have it put in the witness stand too. And then Detective Regland could just
Sure.
kind of facilitate that.
Sure, okay. That will work. And then other individuals have brought digital photographs that we'll be displaying. So we'll need your clerk's assistance with that. And again, we'll be using Ms. Gussie at the back table to accomplish that.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else from you, sir, before we start this morning?
Yeah, just really quick. Very quick reference to the ICFs. I did address ICF to the clerk of courts in regards to the record. So I should have mentioned that when you was talking about it, but I did actually I addressed it to her personally.
I trust she'll respond in due course then. Anything else?
Not at this time, man.
All right. I will note that it appears yesterday some restitution information was filed. Was that
Uh-oh.
hand delivered to Mr. Brooks? Attorney Opera?
This mic set him off.
The restitution information, was that hand delivered to Mr. Brooks?
Yes. Everything we e-filed yesterday was provided to Mr. Brooks personally in the jail, Your Honor.
I object to that, Your Honor. There were a number of documents that I did not accept. really,
Clerk, print them off. There is a restitution request from the Waukesha School District
Mm.
totaling, oh, that's just one piece of it. Let me look at the letter again. There's a letter from the state and then a crime victim compensation request as well. The state will be requesting $47,193.29 to EMC Insurance Company on behalf of the School District of Waukesha, and additionally requesting $124,220.65 to crime victim compensation. That's the program through the Department of Justice. And supporting documentation, I believe, was also filed. Let me just look for that.
Looks like they filed a claim. So that answers your question about any
yeah, Your
claims.
Honor,
And we'll have it printed off.
It was delivered to him yesterday, whether he accepted it or not, I don't know, but it's available to him in the jail, Your Honor.
All right, understood. All right,
I
thank
don't
you.
have it, just for the record.
Madam Clerk will print it off and you'll have it shortly.
I don't know if where they put it after I didn't. And the reason why I want to state this for the record, the reason why I didn't is because I didn't know what it was. When they came to my cell, I was sleeping, so I was just like, whatever. So it wasn't like a exchange or anything like that. It was just like, hey, we got some mail. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not. And he was like, all right.
Yeah.
All right, they'll be noted for the record, but again, it is being provided to you this morning, and you'll be able to review that.
I accept for value in return for value this document.
All right, then Attorney Opper, one last question from the court. Do you anticipate making your sentencing recommendation at the conclusion of all of the other statements being made?
Yes.
All right. With that, then, you may commence.
All right, thank you, Your Honor, and I appreciate that. I do intend to just make some very brief preliminary statements to the court and then commence with the individuals who are present and have asked to speak. I do state again for the record, we have organized the individuals who want to provide a verbal statement to the court into 3 or 4 groups. I think we're at 3, we're at 4. Okay, we're at 4 groups. We have the first group present in the courtroom, Your Honor, and along with their support persons and family members and things like that. We will go through the first group and then request that brief break to trade out the groups if that's agreeable to the court. I just want the court to be aware and state something that's maybe obvious, but maybe not. The people that are speaking to this court are direct victims of this crime. They were either charged individuals or representatives of the groups such as the Blazers or the bank or whatever. You're very familiar with these groups now after having gone through trial. These are people with a direct link to either someone that was hurt or injured or killed. That's who we're presenting to you today. Obviously, there could have been thousands of people that would want to share with this court their thoughts, impressions, and the impact that this crime had on them. We did not turn anyone away, but some individuals did contact our office and expressed a desire to contact the court, or I'm sorry, to speak to the court. We directed them to write the court a letter if they felt it was appropriate. I don't know if the court received any such written materials. We also provided some written impact statements on behalf of our charged victims. I know the court has those and has very likely reviewed those already. So I don't want to spend a lot of time with my thoughts and impressions right now, because I think what's really most important is for this court to hear from these families. And the reason I say that is, Judge, that at trial, we asked some cursory questions about the injuries that were received and the impact that these crimes had on the individuals that were directly involved, but we didn't spend a lot of time on that. And I think this court is really going to be astounded to hear the level of injury that many of these people suffered. Many children suffered the impact, the life-changing impact it's had on them. So this will be different and new information than what we presented at trial. And I think it's very relevant and important for Your Honor to consider when you're deciding on a fair and appropriate sentence, and knowing the gravity of the crime, the seriousness of the situation, and the impact that it had on the community, to hear from these families directly as to what they went through. And again, this was touched on at trial as far as the physical injury versus the emotional injury and the trauma that has been suffered. So I think that will be important as well for this court to appreciate this defendant's conduct. We're past the guilty finding. He's been convicted. Now it's time to talk about what exactly his conduct did to our community and to these families. So these speakers are grouped, not necessarily within the groups as they march down the street, but there is some logic to, so we're not going to bounce all over the place is what I'm trying to say. We'll try and clump them together to make the most sense to the court. And with the court's permission, we have a set lineup. Of course, we may need to be a little bit fluid depending on somebody's emotional state or desire to speak when it's their appointed turn. There are some individuals that have said they're going to try and read their statement to the court, but they may not be able to get through it, in which case I believe Jen Dunn will step in and read the remainder of the statement for them.
Thank you. Would you please confirm on the record that the state has complied with victim rights?
Yes, we will confirm that, Your Honor. Thank you.
And then please give the court a heads up when a juvenile is next,
Yes.
so that the cameras can take the appropriate steps as well.
Absolutely. And for the record, we did provide a list to the cameramen from Court TV or individuals from Court TV, and we're trying to assist them in that regard as well. We want to thank them again for their high degree of concern for obeying the court's order and their respect and intention to strictly adhere to maintaining the privacy rights of these victims. So they've been absolutely very professional in that regard, Your Honor.
Thank you. And then just lastly, because I would like to keep track, and obviously I will honor however they want to introduce themselves, but if you could also tell me which victim they relate to, if it's not self-evident,
Sure.
that would be great as well. And I'm going to keep a list.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
All right, then. I believe our first speaker would be Lori Loken.
And if it pleases, is this on? How's the volume? There we go. If it pleases the court, Your Honor, one of my staff will actually go let Court TV know when a minor is coming next.
Thank you. I would appreciate it.
All right. And are you going to say the victim that you relate to, or I can tell the court this is for victim you?
Thank you. Again, thank you for being here.
Good morning. I'm addressing the court. Is the microphone on? Yeah, it is. Okay. I'm addressing the court, but I also want to direct my comments to Darrell Brooks Jr. My name is Lori Locken. I was walking with the Catholic community of Waukesha, my church family. We were celebrating the joy of the season in preparation for the birth of Jesus when you made your decision to drive through the parade route. It truly amazes me that you deny your accountability for the damage and hurt that you have willfully caused. In the years ahead, I urge you to carefully consider the sorrow and grief of the Waukesha community and the world at large. Ponder the loss of lives within our families, the physical and emotional injuries that may never heal, and the sense of personal safety that you robbed from us. As for me, you never gave me a chance. I turned around and it was only seconds before you hit me square on. I clearly remember feeling the impact. The searing pain of that blow is as clear to me today as it was a year ago. Since then, I'm healing as best as I can from the physical injuries, but you took away my peace and my trust, something that I will never regain. My prayer for you is that you will find your salvation in the midst of it all. I hope that you will repent for the heartache you have caused so many. I too pray that your own personal wounds that you have sustained through your life, which has created so many demons in you, will be healed through this action. Thank you.
Y'all, he can't even look. He's pulling the Bible up.
Thank the court for this opportunity. I am Bill Mitchell, formerly known as Victim ZZ. To you, Mr. Brooks, I'm charge 52. On November 21st, 2021, I was marching with the Catholic community of Waukesha and the Waukesha Christmas Parade. I was walking in the back and I noticed our banner was flying up because of the wind. So I went up to hold down the middle with so people could read it. I was joined by a priest who helped hold it down. We walked almost the entire joyful parade route when something caught my attention. I turned around and saw a headlight. And then I was hit. I didn't see the driver and I didn't see the type of vehicle. I flew over the hood and ended up on the ground with 8 broken ribs, bruised lung, fractured hand, finger, and my face was slashed open in several places, requiring stitches. Strangers and friends came to my aid as I lay bleeding in the street. I spent 3 nights in an ICU. Recovery was slow. My hand still has painful cramps that freeze in my fingers. But I know I was lucky. Others had a lot worse injuries and 6 died. The impact on my family was great. My wife was home recuperating from surgery when she received the call I was hurt badly and on the way to a hospital trauma center. Not able to drive yet, she had to wait for my son and his fiance to pick her up and drive her to Oconomowoc. And after I was released, she had to do a 180 from patient to be my nurse and help me in even the most basic tasks. The stress had slowed her recovery. The continuing pain was a major factor on me giving up a part-time job I enjoyed. We had to rely on family and friends for transportation to doctors for follow-up care for months. Neighbors pitched in to do my yard work and snow removal. Youth from the neighborhood decorated the inside of our house for Christmas. This crime had a ripple effect throughout the community. I do want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your diligence and sacrifice to be here. I tell people I was blessed because I didn't see the carnage that night. I just saw people helping me. But the jury and all of you had to watch the entire awful scene on videos and hear detailed reports of what happened. I'm sure that's going to stay with all of you. I wanted to thank the judge for her patience and knowledge, the police, Detective Casey, for their thorough investigation and quick arrest, the prosecution for presenting such a strong case. A special thank you to Jen Dunn, Carrie, and the entire victims assistance team that informed, comforted, and listened to the many people impacted by this tragic event. Finally, I can't bring myself to thank the defendant, but the response to the evil act he did shined a spotlight on how strong, supportive, and loving community we live in. Many people and organizations stepped up to help me. Family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, first responders, Aurora, doctors, nurses, my church family, the Catholic community of Waukesha, Knights of Columbus, AOH, United for Waukesha Community Fund, Catholic Charities, and so many strangers offered support and prayers. The vast majority of people are good. That said, then there is Mr. Brooks. He is a unique individual who can have a clear conscience after running over kids like speed bumps and killing 6 people. I would suggest someone without a conscience. He doesn't ask for forgiveness. He doesn't admit to doing anything wrong. It is never his fault. When he slapped a woman, it was her fault because she made him mad. I believe if he made it home that night with the red SUV, he would have told his mom the damage wasn't his fault. He was in a hurry and people didn't get out of his way. Some crazy old fat gray hair guy body slammed his hood. I didn't watch all the trial, but the parts I saw showed Mr. Brooks had a lack of empathy for his victims or remorse for his actions. The only regrets he seemed to have is that he was caught and the impact on his own life. Free, he would probably not drive through another parade, but chances are someone so self-centered as Mr. Brooks will hurt other people again. The only life he seems to value is his own. I don't believe that Mr. Brooks will think about me or any of his victims ever. The feeling is mutual. I really don't think much about him now, but when the prison door closes on this felon, I won't think about him again. I do hope Mr. Brooks will use the Bible for more than a courtroom prop. He may want to start with the basics that I know his family had taught him, thou shalt not kill, but then you might want to read Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Your Honor, I hope you give him the time to read and study the Bible. Mr. Brooks did everything he could to try to make the trial a circus. It is not a circus. It's not even about Mr. Brooks. Today, the court will hear what the trial is about, the victims. And as former victim ZZ, I would ask the court for a sentence that keeps the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks Jr., away from society forever. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Brooks, my name is Jason Peckloff, and I'm with the Catholic Community of Waukesha. I was one of the victims you hit with the SUV you were driving on November 21st. What you did to my Catholic community and to the city of Waukesha show that you had no regard for life. What makes it more disappointing that you have shown no remorse for what you have done. While you're sitting in prison, I want you to reflect what you have done. I want you to reflect that you nearly took my life. I almost lost the chance to see my wife and kids again. I may have never had the chance to love or hug them again. You intentionally harmed my community, whether it was physical or psychological. You stole our innocence that day. Before that tragedy you created, it was a beautiful day we all experienced and never thought an evil thing like this could ever happen at a parade. My friend, myself, and the Waukesha Catholic community were asking parishioners and their families to participate in this parade. Imagine the guilt we must all bear for the rest of our lives. Of your actions, I was out of work for about 6 weeks. Then I had to go back part-time because of my sustained injuries. Because of your actions, the multiple lacerations you created leaked out of the bandages and onto my bed comforter and sheets. What an awful visual to have. Because of your actions, I could have lost my foot. Thank God my nurse friend was checking on me. Because of your actions, my wife cannot get the images out of her mind of what you have done. You have forever scarred her. Because of your actions, my wife had to hand over my children to our community friends to check on my lifeless body. Because of your actions, my children, 4 and 6 at the time, had to go with a grieving friend to find her own child that was in lockdown. It took a while for them to be reunited. Because of your actions, my children are scared to death when they had to cross the same street you drove down. They were bawling and begging me not to cross the street. Because of your actions, I need to tell my children that it is safe at parades. Not sure they ever feel 100% safe. Because of your actions, not all people in our community are ready to go back to the parades. Again, you stole that innocence from them. Because of your actions, my children are scared of sirens. Because of your actions, they were scared of red SUVs every time they saw one. They cried and hid. Because of your actions, I walked into the entrance of my children's school and felt like a triage unit. I saw children on crutches and a walker. What an awful image to be burned into my memory. Because of your actions, I feel terrible. I could not help my community and the city by testifying during the trial. Your cowardly actions did this. Your actions forced my family to seek out therapy and resolve in their minds what happened. Your actions made us second guess what we did that day. We have done differently. During this trial, you show no remorse. It makes you look like a monster. During the trial, you show little regard and respect to the court. It makes you look disrespectful. During the trial, you treated multiple witnesses terribly. You were trying to twist the words of our pastor, who is a man of the cloth. You made a comment to a witness you injured that he was walking fine now. It makes you a callous jerk. Despite what you have done to my community, I forgive you. Forgiveness does not remove the need for justice. Justice must be served and you must go to prison. My prayer is that forgiveness will heal your wounds and the wounds for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Margaret Petulis, victim BBB, count 54. I know I am blessed to be here today to present my statement to the court. Darrell Brooks's choices on November 21st, 2021 took a toll mentally, physically, and emotionally on me, as well as affecting my family. I remember the moment someone yelled car, and I turned to see a vehicle behind and to the right of me. My thought was, what is this vehicle doing here? After that moment, I have a void in my memory. My mind won't let me see what happened. I remember my thoughts. Oh my God, this can't be happening. Please, not my hip, not my leg. My next memory is lying on the ground with a person from our group and a nurse talking to me and asking how I was. They worked on keeping me calm and from going into shock. I will always be grateful to them. Every night I would lay awake and replay the incident to see if I could get the memory back. Months of counseling and the passage of time have helped me be somewhat okay with not knowing what happened. One of my fears is that when I least expect it, the memory will return. After being impacted by the vehicle, I was laying on the ground with severe pain to my left leg. Emergency people stopped by, and one questioned whether I had been shot, and all I could think of is, why would I have been shot? I was eventually lifted into a police SUV and taken to Waukesha Memorial Hospital. I was examined and was released after being diagnosed with a broken bone in my left foot. I was instructed to wear the boot provided by the hospital, sit in a recliner, keep my leg elevated, and not put any weight on my left foot. I was instructed to follow up with an orthopedic doctor the following week. I went home and found it very hard to get from the car into the house. I couldn't figure out how to walk without putting my left foot down on the ground. My stomach was nauseous from the pain medicine. My husband and daughter assisted me into the house and sat me in a chair. I immediately passed out, and when I came to, my husband and daughter were concerned that I had had a stroke. They called 911, and I was transferred to Aurora Trauma Center. I was examined head to toe and again released with a diagnosis of a broken bone in my left foot. We live in a tri-level, and I was able to get to the lower level where there is a bedroom, a bathroom, and a family room. For the next 6 weeks, I would sit in the recliner with my left leg elevated and ice packs applied. I also slept with a wedge that kept my leg elevated while I was sleeping. After experiencing more pain in my left leg, I was sent for an ultrasound, and the ultrasound found a hematoma on the inside of my left leg. Standing up was extremely painful, even without putting pressure on my left foot. It would take me a couple of times of standing and then sitting back down on the side of the bed until I could bring myself to hop on my right leg using a walker for balance to get to the bathroom or to the recliner. My husband had to help me in and out of bed due to the extreme pain in my lower left leg. I couldn't dress or undress myself, take a shower, go to doctor's appointments, or to mass without his help. Every day he had to apply gauze wrap and an ace bandage to my left leg to cover the blisters so that as they would burst, they were covered. He then applied the boot sock and a boot. Every day for several weeks, he had to prepare all meals and bring them down on a tray to me. We were fortunate that he was working from home during this time. I had orthopedic appointments and 3 rounds of physical therapy. I am still going through physical therapy. After the bone healed in my foot, I was still experiencing pain in my ankle. The pain limited me. I had trouble walking normally, could not walk any great distance. Going up and down the stairs was best sitting on the stairs and going down that way. As time went on, I was frustrated that I could not perform the simple act of walking down the stairs. Before going to the 3rd physical therapist, frustration set in as I thought I would always have pain and not be able to do all the things I enjoyed, such as pickleball, stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, walking miles, and traveling. My 3rd round of physical therapy, the whole left side of my body was twisted from the impact of. After 10 and a half months and 3 rounds of physical therapy, I am now 95% back to normal. All the months of suffering and thinking no one would be able to figure out what was wrong, I was worried that the pain would remind me forever the choices Darrell Brooks made on November 21st, 2021. I wanted my life back. During this time of healing, I felt isolated and frustrated that the Advent and the Christmas season were happening, and I was unable to decorate, shop, or participate as I usually would during the holidays. Emotionally, since being struck by the vehicle driven by Darrell Brooks, I have felt like a victim. Every day I was reminded that I was limited by physical pain and loss of self. The world went on, but I was stuck, not able to move forward. Today, I am taking the final step forward in my journey of coming out the other side of this incident. Life is starting to look like it was before November 21st, 2021. I know I am not the same person that I was before this trauma, but now I have an enhanced appreciation for life and a stronger sense of spirituality. I am grateful to have a supportive family, supportive friends, and my Catholic community of Waukesha who have all walked this road with me. Forgiveness is a choice. I know that I can forgive you, Darrell Brooks, without forgetting the trauma you caused, without you apologizing and acknowledging your actions. This may take some time for me to accomplish, but after today, I will not let your actions take over my life. I will move on. Regarding sentencing, Your Honor, I would like to request that due to Darrell Brooks's total lack of concern for human life on November 21st, 2021, that for each count that the jury returned a guilty verdict, Darrell Brooks received the maximum sentence for each of those counts. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Rogers. My children were victims U and V. I'm a father of 4, 3 of which were marching with me in the parade last November. 2 of my children were struck and injured. I also serve as the president of the Waukesha Blazers baseball and fast pitch organization and was a couple months into that job at the time of the parade. I've debated whether or not to read a statement for this sentencing. At the end of the day, I felt it necessary to have my voice heard. For my sake, for my family's sake, and for the Waukesha Blazers' sake, and for all the other victims. I'm here today with families that I love, and I'm so sorry that this happened. First of all, this event was completely avoidable, and from my perspective, there has been zero remorse, sympathy, or acknowledgement of the victims by the defendant. All he had to do was stop the vehicle when he saw the crowd, and none of these lives would have been changed forever. For this reason alone, he needs to be locked up for the rest of his life. But enough about him. This is about the impact of the event on me, my family, and our Blazers organization. I'd like to speak as a father, first of all. The impact this has had on my family and I has been immense. This last year has been full of confusion, irritation, anxiety, and depression. We haven't been able to live a normal life. The trial has been dragged out, and literally we were pulled back through to relive everything, all because this person wouldn't admit it like a man and take what was coming to him. My kids are some of the strongest people I know, and they have proven that through the faith in God they've displayed throughout. However, the impact this has had on them literally makes me sick. No more parades, that joy is gone. This is something that will never leave them. I'm still learning things today as well about what they heard and saw that day. I pray every night that God continues to strengthen them to push through and know that he is in control. That night when we got home, I'll never forget Caden looking at me with glassy eyes. He looked up at me and said, "I'm really glad Riley is okay," and started to cry. When my wife Stacy sat on the chair next to me that night, it felt different. She hugged me longer than normal and a lot more firm than normal and said, "Thanks for keeping our kids safe." Everyone saw on the videos that were shown, we're literally inches away from losing 3 out of our four children, and myself included. I thank God each day that he spared us and provided the adrenaline, courage, and strength to get my kids out of the way, gather all the kids we could, and pray together. My wife was going to come with us that night along with our toddler son. I play things in my head over and over, imagining what could have been if she would have come. Where would she have been standing when that SUV barreled through? I have flashbacks most days to Maya's jacket slipping through my hand. If I wouldn't have grabbed it the second time, I know what the outcome would have been. Riley still has trouble sleeping, with some nights getting out of bed 6, 7, 8, 9 times because she heard a noise or doesn't feel safe. A few days ago, I was one-on-one in the car with her, and I finally apologized for not finding her right away. Thank God our friend found her and kept her safe, but as her dad, I've lived with the fact that I couldn't find all my kids that night after it happened. I went way too long not knowing where my kids were, with panic overwhelming me. As a father, I can confidently say this incident had a year-long impossible impact on me and our family. Are we managing? Yes, of course, as God is in control. Now to speak as the Blazers president. This was a happy gathering and almost a kickoff of my presidency with the Blazers since I was only a couple of months in. We were getting to know each other, welcoming a new coach, our new board members, and overall just ready to advertise our Blazers program. Looking back at the pictures from prior to the tragedy, we were so happy. So much love and camaraderie. We were ready for an awesome season. I spoke just prior about my perspective during the event as a father of 3 kids, but as the president of our organization, the weight of the moment to find an account for everyone felt like it was on my shoulders. We had nearly 35 people there. I knew I had lots of help, and for that, I can't thank the other parents and coaches enough. The moment was a blur, and gathering and putting kids up in the truck was the priority. From there, the kids I could find huddled with me in the theater, and we said a prayer for those injured and being attended to. I knew that the next few days were going to be intense, but I never fully grasped how crazy the following days, weeks, and months would be. The amount of turmoil and struggle for our Blazers organization was literally insurmountable. From the moment of the incident, the amount of media and law enforcement interaction was exhausting and unending. Media showing up at my door asking for individual participants' status. Unbeknownst to them, the 2 of my children were hurt. There was nonstop email flow, phone calls, planning, coordinating, and filtering through things. It was endless work. This job went from something I truly loved, from my biggest passion in life, to something I cried about for months. I went from giving speeches on Facebook Live about how cool our new indoor facility was to speaking at Jackson's funeral. From there, the community really pulled together. The amount of love and compassion that came our way was also unending. It was honestly overwhelming. For that, we cannot thank this community enough. Finally, I wanted to briefly touch on the true impact this has had on me. My faith was challenged over the past year, but I can confidently say it's stronger than ever. The hardest part about the whole incident was not knowing where my kids were, not having answers for what just happened, not knowing if more danger was coming. I knew I had Maya next to me, but when I went back and forth screaming for Caden and Riley, that horror plagues me every day. I go back to those moments quite often, and when I watch the videos during the trial, it brought back all those feelings. Pure and utter terror, that's what it was, and that's the impact it still has today. Finally, in closing, I'm a man of faith and wanted to share 2 Bible passages which have pushed me through. First of all, my confirmation passage, Joshua 1:9. It reads, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And secondly, I met with my pastor prior to testifying, and he provided me with an excellent part of scripture. Philippians 4. It says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your joy be evident to all, the Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understandings, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Thank you for listening, and may God strengthen us all.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Jessica Gonzalez, and this is my husband, Juan Gonzalez Lopez. We represent the Blazers organization, as well as many others, and you could even argue the state of Wisconsin. Last night, as I thought about my statement, my son scooched over on the couch and snuggled into me. He laid with his head on my lap, and I stroked his hair. We stayed like that until it was time for bed. He knows we're here today, and it was as if he knew we needed a little extra love last night. Moments like these should be pure with love and affection, but since November 21st, they are mixed with flashes and images of what could have been. Mama, I'm here. I was on the other side. This is one of the memories and words that I'll never forget and hear dozens of times a day without warning. The relief I felt hearing those words on November 21st was devastating, but I found my son unharmed. That should be the end of the story, right? We're fine, right? Physically, yes, but fine is a word we use when people ask us if we're okay, but we're not. It was only a short time before we had readied for the parade, got our hot cocoa, and took pictures to snap a shot of the fun about to be had. Before the parade, I left him with his teammate and new friend Jackson at the Blazers drop-off spot and walked my daughter to her dance team location. With my mother-in-law visiting from Mexico, she was excited for her first Christmas parade. Stationed at the corner of the Clark Hotel with friends, my daughter's dance group waved with smiles as they passed us. She was headed to the library where I would pick her up. The Dancing Grannies, one of our favorite groups, performed flawlessly as they passed us. My son's baseball group was after the extreme dancers who were within sight. Then the gasps and screams came from everywhere, and the red SUV sped past us. I yelled stop and put my hands out like I had the power to make it happen. I felt like I was punched in the stomach when I realized the SUV came from the direction of my son's group. Panicked and lightheaded, and knowing my daughter was safe, I ran to find my son. Running through the streets, my legs felt like they had a life of their own. I found Jackson first. I saw his little body in his Blazers jersey, his eyes looking up, looking nowhere. I knew he was hurt badly. Seeing Jackson on the ground, I began looking for my son amongst the rest of the bodies. I screamed hysterically, searching frantically. What ifs filled my head. I heard Mom from so many directions, but it wasn't him. Finally, it was. I turned to see him with other Blazers who were in the truck. He called out to me, "Mama, I'm here. I was on the other side." Yes, I found my son unharmed, but after, the chaos continued. We ran. I covered his eyes as we rushed back to our group. I called my husband to tell him something terrible had happened, but had no words to explain. Headed for the library, we were told there was an active shooter. We ran again. I covered my son's head with my arms so bullets would hit me first. He cried. I tried to assure him and myself that things like this don't happen. At the library, I ran up the stairs and shouted for my daughter, who was huddled with a friend and her daughter. Yes, I found my children unharmed. But after, the pain and terror continued. After the parade, we discovered people had died and that several sons' group were hit, including his coach and teammate. We learned that my son's teammate was in critical condition, but I already knew this. I still see his eyes without closing mine. What does it feel like to attend a funeral of a child your age? I hate that my kids know. I hate that I didn't get a chance to cheer on my son and Jackson during the baseball season last year. I hate that my son said it was weird having one less teammate. For more than a week, it was late nights to avoid sleep, and our family of 4 piled into one bed. There was no question this was a traumatic experience. Counselors were available. My son didn't want to talk about it, and today still doesn't. I tried to return to work. I tried to return to teaching. I couldn't make it through a day without feeling hypervigilant, startling at every noise, having a panic attack from the sound of a door, shout, thud, gasp, anything and everything. After the parade, I couldn't make it through a day. My joy disappeared. I felt guilty. I had no right to feel joy since my son and daughter were alive and others were not. I was open about questions my kids had, but I cried and screamed in agony when they weren't around. I overreacted, shouting and pulling my kids near in the parking lots and streets, or anytime I saw a car come within a quarter mile away, convinced they all had ill intentions. PTSD throws all the punches. I left my career to work intensively on healing in a program for PTSD. I have only just returned to the workplace, only just a month ago. Something quieter, something with less action. Because after almost 1 year, some days still feel like November 21st was yesterday. Intrusive memories, hypervigilance, nightmares, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, anger, guilt, shame. These are all things I and others live with daily because Darrell Brooks drove through our joy and turned it to terror. When he suggested he could have hit more, he was wrong. He hit everyone. The toll this event has taken on everyone, physically hurt or not, is tremendous. And it sickens me to know that there are so many others with a similar story as ours. I know some today may offer forgiveness, but for me, forgiveness is for accidents, for mistakes or poor choices that the offender expresses remorse for their actions. Darrell Brooks offers no remorse, but he did search for sympathy for himself. I cannot offer forgiveness. I will not. Darrell Brooks should be held accountable for every second of pain and trauma he inflicted on all of us that day, including the many years inflicted already on Miss Patterson. Free, he is and always will be a danger to society. With that, Your Honor, I ask that the full sentence is issued and he spends the rest of his days in prison without the chance of parole. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm Lindsay Conkle, and my family walked with the Waukesha Blazers. November 21st, 2021, my family walked in the Waukesha Christmas Parade. My boys were dressed proudly in their baseball jerseys, streets lined with smiling faces. The crowd was happy and excited. In a split second, excited cheers turned into sounds of screaming and horror. A trail of bloody bodies were left laying in the road. My family was not physically injured that day. We somehow dodged the path of the car by inches. Our mental and emotional injuries were severe, and they remain a struggle for us every day. We have the image and the sound of a SUV plowing through people burned into our minds for the rest of our lives. My children were separated, and I ran through a trail of bloody bodies that were left laying in the road. I will not forget how many people I saw, some seizing in an intersection, some unconscious, and some not. My children cried themselves to sleep for weeks after and still do. They still wake up with nightmares, as do I. They could not walk in a parking lot without clinging to me, shaking and terrified that a car would try to run them down. We suffer from major panic attacks and PTSD, all from a day that was supposed to be happy and exciting. As parents, we have to try to help cope with our children, but we do not know how to cope ourselves. My children, my family, and I, and every person that we know will never be the same after that day. There were many people that were fortunate enough to walk away unharmed. However, Jackson Sparks was not one of those people. A child, 8-year-old, walking next to his big brother with his whole life ahead of him. The next time my children wore their baseball jerseys was to a funeral for an 8-year-old boy, their friend, their teammate, that they have spent many days playing and making memories while at their brother's baseball games. His family and friends will never see his smiling face light up a room, and his team will never be able to celebrate a win with him on the baseball field ever again. Every moment of Jackson's life that was ahead of him was ripped away by Darrell Brooks. You, Darrell Brooks, you hid in a children's playhouse and ditched your hoodie and a sandal. That playhouse happened to be my children's at the house we just moved out of a couple of months prior. That playhouse was built for them, built for my sons, and you hid there after you left their friend and teammate lifeless in a road, along with many others. You didn't just get lost in a parade route. You disregarded police and the safety of hundreds, and you disregarded life. You very selfishly ripped away the joy from the families who were there just to bring joy to others. There are many holes left in our community, but our community has grown stronger and we all have each other. You, however, will have no one. You will have no one in a cell where you belong for the rest of your life. Thank you, Judge Darrell, and we ask that please he never see the light of day again.
Thank you.
My name is Sherry Sparks. I am Jackson and Tucker's mom. I stand here today with my son Tucker and my husband Aaron. I'm here today to represent my family, but mostly for my boys, who were both struck down by the red SUV on November 21st. I want to give a voice to our son Jackson Sparks. Our family is forever changed. We are hurt, angry, traumatized, and broken. November 21st was a day that was supposed to be fun and filled with laughter and smiles. Instead, it became a nightmare full of fear, screams, and tears. Put the first one up. My boys were walking in the Waukesha Christmas parade with their baseball teammates, friends, and coaches. It was a chilly and windy day that day, so we all layered up and prepared to kickstart our holiday season. We met up with our Blazers group, decorated the truck, prepared the buckets of candy and flyers for the boys, took some group photos, and then I left to go find my seat near the end of the parade route and wait for our group while enjoying the parade. I had no idea then the nightmare that was coming my way. Nor did I know that it would be the last time I would hear Jackson's voice and see his smile. I wish I would have known then that the hug he gave me before I went to sit down was the last hug I would ever get from him. I would have held on to him a lot longer. After the red SUV flew past us, it was pure chaos. I will never, ever forget the horrible sound of the car hitting bodies and the thud of bodies landing on the ground. I immediately grabbed my favorite plaid blanket, ran up the street to find my boys. What I found shook my world. I saw Jackson first in the arms of a police officer. He was running him to get him medical attention. My husband was right behind them and told me that Tucker had been struck also. Pointed me back to the direction where Tucker was. Can you do the second photo, please? That's Tucker underneath my blanket there, the plaid blanket. My world came crashing down at that moment. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw up and cry. Adrenaline kicked in and I went to find my boy. I spotted Jackson's baseball hat lying in the road first. Then Tucker's hat. Then I found Jackson's shoe, which kind of led me to Tucker. I finally spotted him. He was one of the many bodies lying in the road, covered in blankets. I recognized the shoes on his feet. That's how I found him. They're sticking out from under the blanket. I stayed at Tucker's side as he lay in the road waiting for an ambulance to come back for him. He was semi-conscious, but we couldn't move him without a backboard due to his head being injured. They had run out of backboards. Luckily, a nearby shop owner / hero dragged a door out of her shop to roll him onto so we could get him out of the cold and get him warm. An hour laying out in the cold road where he was thrown from impact. You can go to the next photo, please. This is what we were facing next. Both boys had traumatic head and brain injuries. They both ended up in the ICU at Children's Hospital. Their rooms just a few doors down from one another. The next day, Tucker asked us about Jackson, if he was okay or was he worse than himself. Do you have any idea how gut-wrenching it is to have to explain your 12-year-old son that his little brother isn't going to make it? His injuries were too extensive for his little body to come back from, and that he won't be coming home with us ever again. Leaving him at the hospital was brutal. To see the confusion, frustration, and hurt on his face when he's standing over his little brother in his hospital room, taking in all the machines he was hooked up to. Tucker remembers everything up until the moment he was hit. He had actually turned around and saw the SUV coming towards them. He said Jackson was right next to him. He said he saw a few people get hit, and then he tried to run out of harm's way. He didn't make it. Being the protective big brother, Tucker blamed himself. He felt he should have tried to grab Jackson or done more to protect his little brother. It broke my heart to hear him saying these things. Tucker's physical injuries were also severe. He still struggles with memory issues and brain processing speed. The mental and emotional damage is severe. Survivor's guilt, PTSD, anxiety. He still gets headaches. His little brother was taken from him. He's suddenly an only child now. He misses his little brother and his playmate. Jackson brought out the silly in him, and life will never be the same without him. You can go to the next photo. Every holiday, special event, family function, vacation, there will always be an empty chair or space where Jackson should be. Jackson's absence is very prominent. Every day we face that vacancy, and it triggers sadness and trauma. Jackson's life was taken from him and taken from us. Life isn't the same without him, and it never will be. I should have spent the morning making him breakfast, taking him to school, hearing about his day later. Instead, I'm standing here in this courtroom, asking for justice for my boys. We came so close to losing both of them that day. I miss Jackson every second of every single day. I feel gutted and broken. It hurts to breathe sometimes. It hurts to live without him here. My mama's soul aches for him. I am emotionally and mentally exhausted. The pain I carry with me every day feels so heavy. Yet I have to push forward, still be there to help Tucker heal, and move forward with find our new normal. Can you go to the next photo, please? As a family of faith, we know this man will face God's judgment someday for his actions. Until then, we feel it is this court's duty and responsibility to all the victims to sentence this man to the maximum penalty allowed under Wisconsin law for each and every guilty charge. We feel this man does not deserve to see freedom in our lifetime, nor our son Tucker's lifetime. We have learned throughout this trial that this man is incapable of empathy or remorse. He has shown no sympathy nor apology for all of the pain, suffering, and loss of life he has caused to so many. This man not only took Jackson away from our family, he violently ripped Jackson out of our lives. Jackson was only 8 years old. 8. He only had 8 years here with us. He was robbed of everything. He'll never get to hit a home run with his brother again, meet his wrestling hero, Braun Strowman. He won't ask a girl to prom. He won't go to college, get married, or have children of his own. Jackson will never be able to do any of these things. These milestones will never happen. He was a bright light in our lives. He was very shy to most people, but those close to him, to his family, he was a big ball of energy. He was charismatic and full of light in life. His life was cut out way too short. Jackson and the other victims deserve justice. We deserve closure in order to heal and find our new normal. We hope to achieve that today. Thank you. And thank you, prosecution, Judge Darrell, very much. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
At this time, Your Honor, we'd like to request a break and bring in the second group.
Yes, the court's going to step off as well while you do that. We'll take about a 10-minute break.
Thank you.
Oh, child. I don't even know what to say. Like, this is so heartbreaking to hear. And I just find it amazing that he's just sitting there, rolling his eyes, not looking at these people. You're supposed to be this big time fuckish, ruggish blood, pimping and all this other stuff. You've been in jail. This ain't your first time in the jailhouse. And you're supposed to be a man, allegedly, but all you seem to like to do is to beat women and beat and kill children. And you can't even look up at these people. Remember when he was in the trial, he was crying, talking about he's emotional. And when that medical examiner was talking about Jackson, that was that little boy's mom that was just talking. And he wanted to look off and pretend to cry. Well, where are the fake tears today? Where are the tears today? Other than the tears for you. I know some people were saying that this should have been a hate crime. And I was just saying that it's not really a hate crime because he just happened to be fleeing from another crime, and the parade people were just in his way. So the people of the parade just happened to be white, but he would have ran over black people, Asian people. It really didn't matter. They were in his way, so they had to go. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. He doesn't care about black people. He doesn't care about white people. He doesn't care about his mom, his children. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. Just him. So, yeah. I, I don't even know what to say. So it wasn't racially motivated. He's just stupid. He's a stupid narcissist who doesn't care about human life of any kind except for his own. You remember his closing. His closing was about him. And his introduction, his opening statement was about him. The tears were for him. Not one time has he expressed any type of remorse, even though he tried to make it seem like, well, he was honking his horn trying to get people to acknowledge his presence, like it was an accident. But you haven't shown any remorse. If it was an accident, people who have accidents say, it was an accident. I did not intend to do this. You can't really say that because it would make that whole I'm not the plaintiff and I don't recognize that name and don't identify by that name argument. It just makes that fly out the window. And I truly believe that that sovereign citizen crap that he came up with, this was something new. I think he tried to do the temporary insanity defense, and his what is it? The health professional said ain't nothing wrong with him. He has a personality disorder, but he's competent. So he had to go into his big ball of tricks. He may talk to some of his other morons in the jailhouse, and that's where he came up with the sovereign citizen shit. But yes, he did consent to being Darrell Brooks today. For the first time, he's Darrell Brooks today. But again, he's rolling his eyes. He's pretending to pray. He's pretending to read his Bible. He's trying to mentally disassociate himself from this. And if you were a real man, you would just sit there and take it. You would just sit there and take it. You going through shuffling papers, restless. There's no testimony today. There's no witnesses to cross-examine. What are you shuffling? You're trying to avoid these people. But you said that you were praying for him. Prayers is going up in the jail. I can't tell. I can't tell. I can't tell. I hope this millennium that he spends in prison, I hope when Jesus returns finally and he's still locked up, I hope that he has an explanation for this. And he can let the facade go. I hope he has an explanation. I hope he can say with some conviction that an empathy bone pops up someplace. But he's exactly where he needs to be, right with the other filthy animals. Anyway, um, I'm going on mute. Uh, we'll be back when the break is over with. I can't. I'm disgusted. Okay, I'm back. I had to take me a minute. um, does anybody want to, while we're still breaking, does anybody want to come up and discuss this nonsense while we're breaking? Let's see, paste. And we can. Anybody want to come up? We can talk about this fool. I really just cannot believe that I've been watching this morning. Even Jeffrey Dahmer uh, sat there and took the impact statements. Bundy took the impact statements. But you can't even hold your head up and at least pretend to care. At least pretend to care. Jodi Arias, as vapid and stupid as she is, she listened to the impact statements and paid attention and made eye contact and at least pretended to cry. And he's hiding behind the mask because that mask is a literal and figurative mask to try to hide himself. But we see you for what you are. We see you for the demon that you are. Okay. Oh, here we go. Hey, love.
Hey, Sugarfoot.
What's
How
going
you
on?
doing? Child, it's sad.
Have you been watching this trial?
Off and on, I have a lot of other like serious stuff going on in real life, but to see that this happened in a vicinity where a lot of my family reside,
Oh, okay.
it really bothers me.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to come up here and say thank you for, first of all, modding me up. I didn't expect that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The
We're
other
back
thing
on
is this
the record.
dude,
The state may
you
continue.
know,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
it's back.
I can't even. Oh.
For group 2, I believe. Kelly, are you available?
Jen's going to read for you. Okay.
No.
I'm victim LLO
Hey, Auntie
and on
Miracle.
November 21st, 2021,
Hey, Miss Tanya.
Hey,
Let me put you on.
Tanya.
Let me put
my
y'all on
brother
mute.
and I
This
were
starting to
headed to
talk.
parade. We've been scared
Huh?
of kids not letting us feel safe and comfortable, or even being able to run out into the road to fetch candy. For example, when I went to the Arrowhead Parade, all my friends were asking me why I didn't want to go out into the road to get candy, and I said, because of the Waukesha Parade. And I was mad because if the parade incident did not happen, I would be able to go out into the road to enjoy something as simple as a parade. When I got to the parade with my friends, I constantly remember to not go out onto the road to be better safe than sorry. It is the last thing I want to happen again. How could you do this? Think of your kids. Would you do this to them? I'm just a child with a lifetime left to live. I'm also here for my younger brother, victim KKK. When he was hit by the front of the car, he was traumatized forever. I feel his fear. I feel his pain, because when I was hit, I broke down into tears too. On the way to the hospital, we had to lay our head down on the floor because we heard there was a shooter. My fingers, my whole body was paralyzed in fear and fright. When we made it to the hospital, I was terrified because I thought I broke my fingers. And when they asked me what happened, I was too busy crying that I couldn't speak. I still think about this event to this day. The day after the parade, I couldn't even go to school because of what he did. All my friends were worried about me, texting me asking if I was even alive. Sometimes I even think of all the others that were hit and how they were in the hospital for longer than me, and how their parents were probably praying that their kids would be okay and that this would be a once in a lifetime happening. I think this should have never happened to us. The day I went back to school, everyone was asking me a million questions every time I was alone. Everyone was babying me, acting like one of my family members was killed. What makes it worse is that almost a year ago my dog died, and I have lived with it my whole life, so I was extra sad and upset. At that moment, I realized that our family had to find justice against the man who hit too many people and caused a nightmare on November 21st, 2021. I ask for this pain to never be caused again.
And I've been asked to read a statement by victim KKK. When I got hit by the car that day, it hurt a lot. I got hit on my right leg, and it still kind of now and then. That hit changed my life, and it still scares me sometimes when I think about it. I also feel bad for the families who lost someone and everyone who died and was in the parade. And then he drew a picture of a SUV, and it says car that hit me, and there's a little figure and candy bucket and bottle and me. So they handed that to me on behalf of victim KKK.
Your Honor, we need to take a break for a second, please. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's important. All right, thank you.
Do that.
All right, so we're taking a break. Not really sure what's going on, but he's so what we just witnessed was it was a little kid who was reading his impact statement. I think that's the court. What is she? She's at the court victim advocate, I think, was reading an impact statement from another kid, and then the judge decided that they needed to take a break. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Oh, here's Miss Tanya.
I'd like to
Hey,
say this.
hey,
I'm
Miss
going to
Tanya.
talk about this on my show, and I invite you, Miss Auntie Miracle B. I haven't seen you in a long while.
Yeah, I've been around. I took a
Yeah, but
break and.
I wanna talk about this on my show later today. But I got to say this: he
Hmm.
should be somebody's poking stick.
I'm
That's what
sure he will be.
I'm having a poking stick. I'm talking about this at 2:45 when I get home. But I'm
Okay.
just going to say this: he should have just stopped his car. But no, he was so ignorant.
Hmm.
You know what? I get the judge a lot of credit for handling his baloney, trying to get naked in the car, sending him off to different courtrooms and all that other stuff. I give her
Hmm.
the Medal of Honor for that, man.
Right.
I really freaking do. So listen, all I have to say to you, Mr. Parade Crasher, I'm not going to say your name no more. You're going to be in there with a bunch of guys that really don't really care. You're going to have to do some dirty things while you're in that prison for the remainder of what life you got. Okay?
Hmm.
You're going to be somebody's poker stick, and you're going to drop that soap every freaking single day of your life. And when you're in the yard, you better not touch their stuff because they're very particular about the stuff they use in prison, okay? Okay?
Hmm.
Okay? You can't look at them cross-eyed in the chow line neither, because if they do, they'll take your eye out and use it as a pool cube. Okay?
Mm.
Okay? So, Mr. Party Crasher, Parade Crasher, I hope you be somebody's woman. Okay? Because they ain't gonna help you. You have to be your
Hmm.
own bodyguard. Okay? Show
Okay.
them. Okay.
All right.
I'll see you at 2:45 if you're around, Miss Arthur Miracle B.
All right. Thank you, Miss
Yeah,
Tanya.
my stepmom's getting out of the hospital, and
Okay.
and my thank you for the condolences of my father.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Peaches.
Well, you had it. Amen to the poking stick. Amen to the poking stick. I guarantee you he will be a poking stick. And I'm pretty sure those folks in jail would think that he pretty. They'd be like, "Oh, you light skin and you got curly hair. Yeah, I'm gonna name you what's his name? Uh Darlene or uh what's she meth boy fly, uh Mathia, Marquisha. He gonna have some little name. But yeah, they gonna think that he's sexy. He's like, ooh, you pretty. You got them pretty lips and you light skin. Ooh, you got all them tattoos. Ooh, you fine. I think that's what's gonna happen to him. My personal opinion. So not sure exactly why we're breaking. It could be an issue with one of the people who are giving the statement. Maybe they are having difficulty or something. But she did say that they would be making abrupt breaks like this. So I don't know. Um, but this is going to be a very it's going to be a very rough day. And very triggering. And a lot of people are going to the disdain they've had of him is going to turn into full-fledged hate today because we knew about him running people over in the parade and people died, but hearing the raw emotion makes it even more real. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to have a lot of hate mail. He's going to have some difficulty in prison because people don't like people who kill kids. I mean, they hate child molest. Well, he is a sex offender. So, yeah, he's going to have a rough time in prison. A sex offender, killing kids, you know, he's going to be a nice big trophy for somebody to go after. I mean, being a mass murderer and all. Yeah, he's going to be a nice trophy for somebody. I would not be surprised if in a few years some inmate they have a fight and he gets killed, just like Dahmer. I would not be surprised. I would not be shocked at all. 'Cause don't nobody tell me what to do. I'm a grown man with grown kids. Don't nobody tell me what to do. Are you asking me? Or you telling me? You asking or you telling? They finna tell you, sir. For 1,000 years, they gonna tell you what to do. So I don't even know. Like I can't try to make this comical because I mean this is very raw. I'm waiting for his family. I want to see how they spin it. I want to know if the family are going to show some empathy for the victims, or are they going to baby this man child and placate him? Because clearly they failed as family members. They failed as mothers and guardians and teaching him anything. They failed completely. Victims to allow them to speak. Um, anyone that was impacted by the um by the oh I can't even talk. Anybody that was impacted by what he did at the parade, Brooks's actions, anyone that suffered damages, was physically harmed, like they can speak. Really, the mom said he had an unfair trial. How? How? He had an overly fair trial. Like I wish everyone in the criminal justice system could get what Brooks got. I mean, no trial have I ever seen has the prosecution and the judge attempted to help him as much as he's gotten help. They have given him an abundance of leeway, abundance of just allowing him to just talk and act a fool. Nobody behaves in this manner that I've ever seen. We just made this case so riveting. He had a more than fair trial, and they gave him more than enough opportunities to reverse course. The judge warned him about representing himself. 2 days of that, and for the last month, he's made this entire thing about him in a complete circus. When Ted Bundy represented himself, he didn't even behave in this manner. And Ted Bundy went to law school and was half smart. But this guy here just decided that he was going to um, play that he had sense, and it was disgusting what it was. And he didn't make himself any favors. He didn't make himself any fans. I don't think there's going to be anybody who is going to say, "Poor you, poor you." Nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to say that he's a victim. And he could have, if he had made the argument, the only defense that he could have possibly had was that it was it wasn't intentional, that it was like a heat of passion thing. Maybe Erica Patterson was cheating on him, because it seemed like that's where he was trying to go with those questions. And he was relitigating their relationship. That's pretty much where the majority of his questioning was leading to, was him and Erica Patterson's relationship. That when I streamed the cross examination with Corey Runkle, it's like he was trying to prove that they were in a relationship, even though Erica told Corey that it was his ex. He was trying to get Corey to say that Erica lying, and that they were really boyfriend and girlfriend, and that he was trying to prove that Erica was doing something, cheating or doing something wrong. They were out drinking and getting inebriated and having a little bit too much fun, and Erica triggered him, and that led to the parade. And I think that if he had made that argument that Erica cheated on him or was doing something that would make him angry, and passion, got in his car, drove off, and he inadvertently ran into the parade, and he was just so angry, he snapped. That could have been the only way. No, I'm not gonna put it on subscriber only. If there's spam, just go ahead and block them. I got a bunch of new people who's watching, and they aren't all subscribed, and so I want everybody to be able to chat. And if it's some of the porn people, just go ahead and block them, um, report them, and block them. Opposed to anyone in this. I think it was the people who were physically harmed. They were directly affected, would be allowed to give an impact statement, because their life was impacted by his behavior. Um, I know that we've all suffered watching the trial, but I don't think that we would qualify as making an impact statement. So, um, yeah, I think that he was thinking that Erica was cheating, and because he tried to blame this on Erica. When he was talking to the police, he tried to blame it on Erica. But if it hadn't been for me meeting this woman, this wouldn't have happened. So I think had he gone in that direction, he could have got lesser included crime. It wouldn't have been, reckless endangerment with the deadly weapon. It could have been, manslaughter. I'm not really sure what the criminal codes are in Wisconsin, what the lesser included offenses were, but that's probably where his attorneys probably would have gone had they not been fired. And Darrell does not have sense. He did not understand. He didn't go and look at what he's being charged with and look at the elements of the crime that he's being charged with and try to raise reasonable doubt to those particular elements. So, and what I mean by that is, say you have a breaking and entering, and like a breaking and entering is like an unlawful entry into a dwelling. Well, they would need to prove that the entry was unlawful, that there was a breaking, and a breaking would be like breaking a window or um, propping up the door, something to indicate that he was not um, allowed uh, to enter the dwelling lawfully. He would need to show that he was invited and it wasn't a breaking and an entering. He was invited into the house. That type of stuff is what he would have needed to have tried to do, but he didn't do that. He just wanted to argue. He just wanted to argue about his relationship with Erica Patterson, which is a losing argument. That's true. He cannot look at the charges um, and look at it seriously while pretending to have no accountability. That's correct. That is true. That was his main issue. Um, you wanted to. I don't recognize that name. I don't identify by that name. I don't know who this person is. So you couldn't seriously look at the charges. He had to go down this "it wasn't me" road. He had so many defenses that he would not couldn't develop. It wasn't him. It was Erica's fault. He was trying to alert people to get out of his way. Um, it's the people's fault for being in his way. Um, what else did he say? That was a defense. Um, it was cold and rainy, and people had on hats so they couldn't hear him coming. Oh, it was issue with his car because there was a recall on the car. He had so many defenses. Um, it it wasn't him in the car. It was other people could have been in the vehicle. Multiple people in the residence that he lives in drive the car. It's not his car. It's his mama's car. Yeah, the car malfunction. That was awesome because the car was there was a recall. I had a Chevrolet, and my Chevy had multiple recalls because Chevys are crap cars. Never once did I have difficulty maneuvering my car and running over people. I've never had that problem. I don't think anybody has had that problem. This is a super long break. I'm trying to keep talking while there's a break so there's not just a bunch of silence. Oh, welcome back, Christine. We're on a very long break. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I don't know. Sure, while we wait, I may as well play some. Um, hmm. I don't think it's technical issues. I think it's something else. I'm not sure, but it's a long break though. I don't know. Maybe this is so full of emotion. Maybe the judge is upset. She's supposed to be like 7 months pregnant. And the fact that she did all of this at 7 months pregnant, I have to give her all the applause. To take off some of this hate someone should make mean with his big old head on an elf body. I mean, he was like a elf anyway. He's got little man Napoleon syndrome for sure. A rendering of account. Well, let me see. Let me look in the soft sit bullshit and see if I can figure out what a rendering of account is. Because I'm not sure. So a rendering of account is um it means that a person demonstrates and proves to another person by physical facts that he is conducting his business activities in accordance with the rules applicable thereto. The rendering of accounts is carried out according to specific. Okay, I don't know what that means still. Let me put this in rendering of accounts, sovereign citizen. Let's see. Let's go over this fact. Uh, 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 Hmm. I'm not really sure. Yeah, it's definitely some soft sit BS. It absolutely is. Because I know it means something in real life, and then it means something with sovereign. So I'm not exactly sure. Okay, well, it's what I said then. Um, it proves to another person by physical facts that he's conducting his business activities in accordance with the rules applicable thereto. So it means nothing. It doesn't mean what he think it means. That's what it means. It doesn't mean what he think it means. He's not a real sovereign citizen because you can tell that his arguments aren't very developed. So this is something new he dug up. It's like he was in jail and it was something he pulled out at the last minute and he started this that Wednesday before trial when he decided that he wanted to represent himself. He talked to somebody in the jail and they said, I think that you need to argue this and gave him all that sovereign citizen nonsense. He read it and was like, ooh, I like this. I could run with this. It's not developed at all. And so he's just sitting there trying to weave this into a theory um for a defense and it just wasn't working. Like it just was not going to work at all. And I think that like they say, a man that represents himself has a fool for a client. He needs to be apologizing that he wasted all this time. He should have just taken the deal. And I thought that he had a counter offer he was going to present to the prosecution. That must never have happened. He could have avoided all of this. I mean, he probably still would have needed to, um, if he did offer a plea, he would have had to admit what he did, and they would have still had an impact, but they would have avoided a whole trial. He would have had a sentencing, and this still would have occurred. But he would have been better served doing that than what he did. At least people would not be confirmed in knowing that he's an asshole. I mean, now there's no doubt he's an ass. Had he just pled and sat there, nobody would have known. And that's the way that he should have gone. Said I still can't comprehend how a sovereign citizen uses constitutional rights to their benefit. So it's just like, Southern Christians, they utilize the Bible to their benefit. We don't like gays, and it's an abomination because of Leviticus. But then, the whole, thou shalt not lie, thing, we can throw that out the window. Loving your neighbor as you love yourself, we can throw that out the window. That didn't apply. The whole blessed are the meek in spirit, they shall inherit the earth. We ain't read none of that at all. The greatest commandment is to love one another. That it is, screw everybody else. It's all about me, and I deserve to be rich. That went in the Bible, but we just cherry pick what we like. We just cherry pick what we like, and we just go along with it, which makes me believe that you hadn't read the Bible. Um, being meek in spirit, asking for forgiveness. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. So, breaking news. The reason why there is a delay is because there have been calls being placed, threats are being placed at the courthouse. So that's why we have a very lengthy delay, because people are threatening the courthouse. And look, I get it, but it's not necessary to call and threaten and all type of stuff like that. He's going to get sentenced. These people are trying to get their justice. All the other stuff is extra. Just let's let them get it out, and not have all of the hate speech and everything else. But I get it. I mean, he deserves everything that he gets. Everything. This is wow. So that makes sense why we're delayed like this. You know what? It could be. It could be his family, or somebody he knows, just like the fake Reddit. Clearly it's somebody who has, excuse me, who has knowledge of the case, and I think we need to have a mistrial. I think it's somebody that he knew who did that too, because all of a sudden that's what he harped on. We need to have a mistrial because clearly it was somebody that had inside knowledge of Reddit, on Reddit. Somebody had inside knowledge of the court, not the fact that we all were watching from minute to minute of the trial. Why did it have to be somebody who was a juror? A sequestered juror? Stop it. Wow. Yes, he did say his name. He actually said his name this morning. He said that his name is Darrell Brooks. He did not do his third party intervener thing, but he did throw in a whole bunch of sovereign citizen nonsense though. He had some filings that he filed. But he did say his name, Darrell Brooks. And I'm like, well, will wonders never cease? He's Darrell Brooks. That is so wonderful to know. Let's see, we got some more news. Mm, okay. So the Waukesha County Court where Darrell Brooks is being sentenced was cleared after a threat to the court came in by a dispatch center. Mm, let me see. Let me see where I'm trying to go here. Oh boy. This is amazing. Let's see what other information I can find here. Trying to see if there's any more information. On Twitter, someone's saying that a threat was called in. That's what I'm hearing. That excuse me. That's what I'm hearing. That a threat was called in. Hey T, let me look on Reddit. Reddit is my place. Dangerous sentence the maximum. Oh, thank you, T. Okay, so I'm seeing that there were 5 calls, 5 threats, saying there are 8 bombs in the courthouse. Building close of the day. Oh boy. So he's trying to use his daughter. It's just an attempt to. It's just trying to be manipulative. That's all. That's all it is. That he thinks that if he has a 8-year-old, that's going to mean something on Zoom. Let me see what else is happening for free. Then for like 2 days, one place and none to watch. Okay, someone said the trial's gonna go on today. I would not be surprised if it was not one of his family members who did this. Anything to delay. Anything to delay. He said that his mother was coming, his mom, um, and he said he's got a total of like 9 people that's supposed to uh, talk for him, speak on his behalf. And then his child's mother and his youngest daughter. Now remember, the youngest daughter. Remember, his youngest child should have been his 1 year old or that newborn baby that he was talking about, which was his grandmother. I mean, grandson. See how the lies come out. But yeah, I believe this is Brooks or his design, because I don't believe that on a victim impact statement that people are just calling to threaten bombs, and there are kids and everything else in this courtroom. I don't believe it. This is him. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Because think about it, he doesn't want any statements being told. He's been trying to avoid that this entire time. But what I'm excited for is that he's got a civil case and he's going to have to pay restitution. So I'm sure at some point in time today, he's going to say something, especially when it's time his family members. But it's going to be said. There's no way he's just going to be quiet. Let's see. Deaths were made to the courtroom to the dispatch center. Courtroom was cleared. Waukesha County Sheriff Eric Severson is now on the case. And apparently they're dispatching more officers. Hmm. Oh, that Parkland shooting judge, she was something serious. She was mad. Oh, she was mad. She's like, I am not having any of this. Period. Get Paisley, get down here. This little stupid dog and ran upstairs. Come here. Paisley, get over here. So you can't get, how you get upstairs? I'll be back. Paisley. You want in the pen? Yeah. Act right. Little bad rug rat. I think that the judge is going to definitely have some very choice words for him. She might cry. Hmm. I hope she does too. If she needs to. Be quiet. I said, I hope the judge gets some time. I would have been fired, or he would have been, oh yeah, I definitely would have there would have definitely been a mistrial. Definitely would have been a mistrial. Yeah, she wouldn't be able to accept like any gifts over $25. So yeah, she can't really accept any of that stuff. But she has my appreciation. I think that Judge Jenny will be able to keep her position as a judge for a long time. You know, people were Judge Jenny for Halloween. Like she's a celebrity. So someone said that somebody may have fainted in the courtroom. She definitely has the patience of a saint. Definitely. Because I don't have it. I would have just been annoyed. And I would have been like, Mr. Brooks, just does someone have a muzzle? I felt really bad for Jackson's mom. That was really sad. That was really sad. I am getting a migraine, like seriously. Someone said that SWAT officers are there. Oh, it's gonna take a little while. Okay, well, I actually do have Venmo. Hold on. Let me see. Let's see. I gotta see what my name is on Venmo. Oh no, because I'm probably gonna get rid of it to kill this stream anyway in just a minute. So card's been added. I'm trying to get to where I need to go. Verify. Oh, there we go. Nope, not trying to do that. Let me go back to. Okay, here's my Venmo. Oh well. Hmm. Yeah, can't do it because I've self. I mean, I'm already doxxed anyway, but anyway, my head is throbbing, and I'm just gonna go ahead and kill this. I don't know when they're coming back, and I gotta go take me some medicine. So anyway, maybe I'll come back whenever they come back. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll come back whenever they come back. All righty.